Some people get stuck in their niches, or niche, whatever that word is. Niche, their little category, and they're like, they don't want to budge from it. And it's like, if you don't find that, like, if I go into Savers, the other day I went into Savers, example, there was not many toys at all. So I went and looked at the back shelf where they have like the little collectibles, and I found a little figure that I looked up. It was like 20 bucks. I picked that up. I went past the video games. I found a $100 video game. Like, I don't do video games.
Really? A video game? What was that?
It was Def Jam Vendetta, PlayStation 2, last week.
I don't even know the value of that, but I'll take your word on it.
It's like $100.
Wow.
But I don't usually resell video games. I don't waste my time. There's always sports games there. But there was no toys, not too many toys. So and then yesterday, again, the same thing happened. There wasn't too many toys, and I went into the case and I found these vintage colognes and vintage perfumes, and I'm gonna make about $300 off of those bags of vintage stuff.
Gosh.
So just because you're into books, just because you're into clothing, doesn't mean you can close out everything else. Because what if there's no books? What if there's no clothing to find? You're just gonna walk out of that store and leave profits in there. And you don't have to be an expert at toys to learn them. You can kind of just brush over it and understand some things. And that's basically the point. It's like, I think there's a lot of people who like look at toys and like, it's such a big spectrum, like why would I bother? But cologne is a big spectrum. Perfume is a big spectrum. That's kind of what I wanted to speak on, is that you don't have to be one-sided when you go into these thrift stores. Like, you can look at the toys, you can look at other things, and it kind of translates. Like, you kind of, if you're in the reselling game, you learn value. You start to learn what is valuable and what isn't valuable over time. And I think it can translate into toys as well. Complete, sealed, popular, like, it all translates. So I would say to anybody who is like, forget toys, like, oh, it's too big of a thing, there's too many, I don't know what they are, I don't know what it is, just take a look, you never know.
Vinny, how do I get, like, what's the best way for me to get started with toys? When I go to a thrift store or I go to a garage sale, I'm just so overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. So what advice would you have?
So the best advice I can give is the advice that I took, the action I took for myself, which has gotten me to where I am now, is I started buying and buying and buying and learning, and I did a lot of failing, but I learned a lot during the process. And if you're someone who doesn't want to go through that entire process, I have guides available that you can buy that kind of break everything down for you and tell you what to get. But the best advice is to go out and try it. Buy them, see what you can find, look at the sold listings on eBay, search what popular toys are popular right now, and just dive in.
And where do you find these mostly, like these types of toys? Are you finding them mostly at thrift stores, garage sales? Like, where are people going to be able to go out and find these?
I find these the most at Savers, thrift stores, and Goodwills.
If you have a Savers. I think they're only
Salvation
on
Armies,
the East Coast a little bit.
Salvation Armies, I found them. You can find them at tag sales. I've seen a whole bin full of Disney like this. Someone's like, give me a buck. I'll take a buck.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
do you remember that garage sale I went to that one time and I picked up all the toys?
Yeah, how much was that entire bin?
I don't remember, but it was like less than 50. I think it was like 50 for everything. It was a ton. I had hundreds of toys.
And what was the total price, you think?
I don't. It was so long ago. I don't remember.
I know. I paid you $25 out of that for one little part of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I made hundreds off of it, and you know, I honestly kick myself for all the garage sales that I went to over the years. From, you know, you guys remember following me with the garage sale videos 5-6 years ago. I mean, I kick myself because I would see bins of these types of toys all the time. And I would just pass. And at garage sales, I mean, they are just, you know, there's two types of people at garage sales. The ones who are looking to make money and the ones that are trying to move stuff away. And the ones where you see like all the kids stuff, they're usually just like, you know, the kids have outgrown it and they're like, I want space. That's what I like about toys. The biggest limiting belief I hear is there's too much competition, it's too saturated, and I'm not gonna find anything. Like, Vinny's lucky. I'm not gonna find stuff like this.
You will always find toys. In thrift stores, tag sales, there's always gonna be toys. And the best advice is to don't knock something before you try it, but also don't go in the water blind, you know? Like you have to do a little bit of research, you have to do a little bit of homework and look for interesting toys, or maybe toys you know that you've bought before, or your cousins or nephews or sons or daughters have that you knew were expensive at the time. You could even just start there and take a dive in. And that's, I say, the best advice. You can watch our videos, you can buy our guides. It's almost a guarantee that if you get the guides and watch the videos, you will gonna go into a Savers, a Tag Sale, Goodwill, Salvation Army, and you will find something. It's almost guaranteed. I can almost sit here and I can pretty much guarantee it.
You know, for the folks who are watching now, I know we have a lot of seasoned veterans who resell, but the average person who's never resold before, they don't understand why you would sell something that only makes 10 or 15 profit. And a lot of times it's the little tiny things, like the little, you know, as a baseball analogy, the singles, the doubles, that really build up your sales at the end of the month. Like, yeah, you're gonna have home runs that make $50, $60 profit, but none of these are real home runs.
I will say something right now that's very important. It's like we all want the home runs. We all want this 50, 60, 70, $100 profit items. That's what we all want. That's what we live for. But the reality of the matter is you walk into any Walmart or any store that's successful, they have their big guys, their big items, they have their medium items, and they have even the checkout counter smalls. So you have to kind of treat your eBay store that way, because you're gonna get discouraged if you have really expensive items that just sit up there.
And especially nowadays with all the, you know, the Rona, all the craziness going on right now, people are probably gravitating more towards lower dollar stuff. The higher stuff might take a little longer to sell.
Exactly my point. So if you are getting started and you're like, this is only gonna make me 10, 20 bucks. However, on the flip side, it could be a fast sale, which can get you feedback, which can get you better in algorithms, which can help your business. So to make 10 bucks, it doesn't take me an hour. It doesn't take me a half hour. This will probably, from start to finish, will take me about 15 minutes.
Yes,
to list,
that's 40 bucks
ship,
an hour.
Get it out, that's 40 bucks an hour. So it's not that bad if once you get the process down, you get a little quicker with it. Like, these are the items, these are bread and butter for me, because I find my most sales come between the $20 and $40 range. Like,
that's a good tip.
The fastest sale, yeah. If you get like $80 and $100 items, if they're not super rare, sometimes they'll sit for a couple months, you know? The lower stuff, you're not making as much, but they're the quickest ones to go.
Yeah, the big things pop, and that, you know, that's your vacation money and that's your building money, but this is like paying your bills and bread and butter.
I mean,
it's bread and butter, man.
You got to have the smalls, you got to have the mediums, you got to have the bigs.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any store,
Yeah.
eBay store out there, resell, that has just all high-end items.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they sell. I mean, there's probably a few rare occasions. Today we're going to talk about this bin that I picked up at local Savers near me. I spent 10 bucks. It was originally marked at 20, but I know one of the guys that works in back, and I was telling him, like, I really want the train. There's a bunch of other stuff in there. Is there anything we can do? And he's like, I'll mark it for 10 for you. That's fine. And the reason I originally wanted this was for this vintage play school train. 1988 toot toot train right here. And then you got the tracks that go with this guy. And this is some of the train cars that go with it. Another model of this train, I've actually sold with the tracks for like 50, 60 bucks plus shipping. And if it works and everything goes good and it's got most of the tracks there, most of the parts there, I'm looking at a good 50, 60 bucks. And then inside, as you can see, there's some extra, these are all the tracks that go with it, you know, because they'll say the same date with Play School on the bottom. So these are all the tracks that go with this guy. I would tell people to look out for trains. They're, especially battery operated one. The older Play School ones do very well, especially if they're working and running and everything. Look for the tracks and parts to go with it. Any questions, Steve, about what we got going on here? Are you confused?
I mean, for me, honestly, it seems like a lot of work.
It's not too bad. See, I got another train right here going. There's a lot in here, but as long as you put them where they're supposed to go, you can even sell the tracks by themselves. There's a slot car track, and then you get some extra wooden Weesing trains. And
what's the brand of this?
This one is a Play School I think it's a toot toot train or toot tots train, something like that.